Hey everybody, Michael Hellickson here with Club Wealth, and welcome to another world-class agent interview. And today we have Tim Ray with us. Tim is a fantastic real estate agent. He's an incredible human being, and he just happens to be a Club Wealth coach. So Tim, without any further ado, how are you?
Hey, I'm good, Michael. Thank you. How are you today?
I'm fantastic. Hey, thanks for taking the time to be with us today. I know you got a lot to share with the agents today. Hey, do us a favor. Just tell us a little bit more about who you are, where you're at, what company you're with, all that good stuff.
Okay, yeah. I'm in Kansas City. I'm located in Kansas City on the Kansas side, right on the border of Missouri. My name's Tim Ray. I own a real estate company called Option Real Estate Services. I've had this company for probably 9 years. I've done real estate for about 20. Through the course of my ownership in Option Real Estate Services, I've had a couple of partners. I bought one out a couple of years ago, and then just at the end of 2012, I bought out the remaining partner. I sold off a management company that I had as well. My focus right now is growing a big real estate team as well as a successful real estate company. And then in a nutshell, my goal in sight of that is to grow a recession-proof real estate business.
Yeah, that's interesting you talk about recession-proof because, the economy comes and goes, the real estate market ebbs and flows, and essentially, I've always been a believer that where there's chaos, there's opportunity, right? So whether the market's going up or coming down, there's always an opportunity to make money. And you and I both know, because we've both done a lot of REO in the past, that, when that down cycle comes, that's actually a really good time to make a ton of money, but it's not enough to be focused on REO. I mean, you and I have lots of friends in common that, they were so focused on REO that when REO went away, they were out of business because they didn't cultivate the retail side of their business. And so talk to us about some of the things that you think will help an agent can, not only recession-proof their business, but give them a business that will sustain all markets.
Well, that's a really good question. So I'm spending a lot of time actually looking into that answer myself. But here's what I know. The real estate industry as a whole, it's pretty consistent to stay in front of the ball. If you just look at statistically and historically what's happened. What I'm doing and where I'm focusing my efforts is I have a really good REO operation set up. So I work with quite a few banks and government entities to liquidate their REO portfolio. So that's obviously one area where that does require a lot of nurturing and a lot of attention. And you have to have a really good operation in place to fulfill the needs of the clients that we have. And right now, the traditional real estate market is really crazy. What we're experiencing here in Kansas City is a shortage, or a drought, if you will, of listing inventory. There's way more buyers than there are sellers. And so every situation, for the most part, is a multiple offer situation. The interesting thing, and by recession-proof, what I mean is, I think everybody knows what that means, but it's a business that will withstand the market regardless of what happens. In the last 4 days, I've received 3 short sale listing appointments, and it was not by design. I did a lot of short sales, probably 4 or 5 years ago. I'm trying to remember the years exactly, but we probably did around 250. We were training a lot of agents on how to do them. My buddy up north, he's primarily, all he does is short sales, and he's been able to sustain in this market for the last 5 or 6 years just doing short sales. But I don't believe that just doing one style of real estate is enough to sustain. So a lot of the calls that we've been getting, like I said, in the last few days, I've received 3 short sale listing appointments, and I've got another 2 that I'm going on today. You kind of have to go. I mean, learning the business and being able to facilitate a transaction and help the client with their needs, regardless of what their needs are, requires information. It requires being on top of what's happening with the government, related to incentives for homeowners, relocation incentives, etc. So I'm growing a team and I'm growing my business, and we're putting a lot of focus on just being able to serve the client regardless of what their needs are.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And it's funny short sales, because right now, like you said, it's a seller's market, and homes are selling for more than they really should, or more than list price at least, and we're getting multiple offers. In fact, we just put out a blog post about how to write a strategically powerful offer, how to get your offers accepted more often than not. So if you guys haven't already been to the Club Wealth website, check that out. Go look at that blog post. But Tim, it's funny to hear you say that here in a seller's market, we have short sales happening more and more now. So are you seeing a trend? Do you think that this is going to lead us back into a heavy short sale and maybe even beginning into an REO market again?
Well, I mean, that's a really good question. So primarily my day-to-day job is kind of managing the REO portfolio that we have and working with sellers. So I have buyer's agents that work with buyers. I'm not out there a lot seeing what's on the market. I don't know if there's a lot of short sales on the market. However, there's no coincidence that my REO inventory is increasing, and I'm starting to see more short sale seller demand. Mm-hmm. The interesting thing is the sellers that I've spoken to recently, they're not really aware of the short sale process. They don't even really know that it exists. So it's almost like everything that we were teaching the general public years ago, they've all forgotten about again, which I think, and it's interesting you brought up the Club Wealth buyer, how to get your buyer the offer if they're working on with the seller, because I actually went over that with one of my main guys this morning, Greg, because he's working on an offer, and it came on the market late last night. They showed the property at 8:30. And already there's multiple offers. And so our job is to get our client, at least get them the information so that they can make an informed decision on what they need to do to secure the property. And that's where we're seeing what I consider the artificial inflation in the market right now, is because it's not necessarily the values are going up. Buyers are just needing to pay more to get a property.
Yeah.
So that's what we're experiencing here. And that really is that Club Wealth video I don't remember what you call it, but all the information in the blog is really powerful, and we're actually using that in my office just to inform our agents so they can really give their buyers a good opportunity to get a property.
Just even following the checklist really helps. That's if you just go through it's only 14 points, right? Just follow through the 14 points, have the guys look at it and go over it with the client and let the client decide, hey, here's 14 things that you could do to really strengthen your offer. Pick one or pick 4 or 5, or which ones of these are you willing to do to come in above other offers and give yourself a better chance at getting the deal. So that's a good habit to be in. Well, I love that. So I want to come back to, you talked about REO, short sale, retail, there's all these different things. Another thing you've done in the past, I know that has helped you to kind of retain consistency through all markets, has been your property management company, which I know that recently you kind of you gave that up as you transitioned out of a partnership, and so my hunch is you probably at some point will see property management coming back for you. Is that on the radar? Is that?
It is on the radar. So yeah, I did. Property management is a unique beast of its own. It definitely can be a very profitable business, but additionally, it's a great blend for when you're working with investor clients. I mean, the management company that we started years ago basically came out of all the California investors that were coming in town, dumping stock money and buying properties around here, and they needed somebody to manage it. So it's a good marriage, if you will, between serving your clients and having another profitable business, if run well, of course. So when you're working with investors, why not just take the other side of the coin for them and manage their properties? At the same time, I've got a buddy in California that just does a phenomenal job with his management company, and he's marketing real heavily to inform the tenants of his properties so that they can then in turn get buyers from their management tenant pool, if you will. So a management company is very good for lead generation. It's very good for, one, serving your clients with another area that you can provide benefit to them. and it's really good for lead generation if you're looking to increase more transactions in your real estate side.
Yeah,
I probably will start another management company down the road, probably within the next year.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear you.
It's definitely something we're looking at.
Oh, I'm assuming the guy in California you're talking about is probably Mike Bjorkman.
Mike Bjorkman knows how to do it.
Shout out to Mike. We love Mike. He's a good friend of Club Wealth. And Mike is also a Club Wealth coach now. As of recently, we're super excited to have him on board as one of our Tier 3 coaches. So welcome, Mike. And so you're right. That's one of the things. And I've always kind of looked at property management like it's a great lead generation tool for potential buyer leads that pays for itself and then some, right? Yeah. So it's not a huge profit source. It's not like adding another buyer's agent or something like that. It's not a great a fantastic profit center, but what it is an opportunity to have more at bats with potential buyers that and before anybody else does that these people are coming into the marketplace because they're already renting a property that you're managing. So, yeah, which is also good because it gives you that time when you get them in there as a tenant. Now you can immediately put them into credit repair, which a lot of them need. So you get them into credit repair right away. You get them with your lender right away, and now all of a sudden we're developing a process and a plan to help them go from tenants to home ownership as quickly as possible. And really, that usually takes less than a year. So by the time their lease is up, you're ready to put them into a position of buying a property, and they love you for it. And guess what? They refer people to you.
And additionally, they're great people to keep informed on what's happening in the market by means of client events. Have your tenants come in because most everybody I know wants to buy a home at some point or another. So these people we can educate, we can teach them what's going on in the market, we can show them how to get really good loans. Hook them up with lenders. So client events at your office with your tenants and your lenders and your buyer's agents, it's great. It's a great opportunity. It really is to generate down the road residual business.
Well, and I agree with you. Having those people, inviting them, treating them like if you're segmenting your database, you've got your A+, B, C, and D clients. Let's assume now if they're a tenant, they're an A client. They're doing business with me. I've made money from this person, so they're an A client. So they should be on my client appreciation program. I should be inviting them to my client events. I should be sending them notes, bringing them items of value occasionally. I'm sending them my newsletter if I've got one, which everybody that's watching this better have a newsletter. But all of that stuff, I want to include them in all of that. So I'm really glad you pointed that out. All right. So one of the things,
just on the side, it's real important to when you are marketing. I don't want to take this too far off to the side, but when you're marketing, you need to market to the immediate buyers and the couple months down the road buyers and the year away buyers, and in order to have a sustainable business. And these guys are great for down the road future business, good relationships as well.
So I completely agree. What are some other things that you can do to not just recession-proof, but to create that consistent income through all economies?
Well, obviously ownership, investing in real estate. We're real estate agents, real estate brokers. We're in a really great position to see what's hitting the market. Investing in real estate is good. I think if you're in real estate, you don't invest in real estate, you should strongly consider investing in real estate. It's great residual income down the road. Other areas would be, you've got your whole, I guess I don't know if I understand your question correctly. You've got your investor pool, which, learning the investment market, which being an REO agent, you've got, one of the things we started doing is we started promoting our pre-market inventory, which is stuff that's not yet for sale. And we've probably got 40, 45, 50 properties that aren't even for sale yet. Everybody wants to feel like they're getting an elite membership or they're getting a first-hand information on properties. So we're marketing out some of our pre-market inventory that we could potentially sell to buyers down the road when we do list it. Or more importantly, we're picking up investors that know that we've got an inside angle on some real estate. So you can work the investor market, obviously sellers, short sales, investing as well, property management. I'm trying to think if there's anything I'm missing out on.
I know. I think those are great things. Let's touch on this investing real quick because, we talk a lot from time to time about being your own best client and how important it is to go out and really invest in real estate. It's too many real estate agents are so focused on paying the bills next month and, how do I get just enough coming in so that I can survive because I'm struggling. And even the agents that are successful, once they start really hitting some success, then they start buying the toys and the boats and the cars and the whatever, the bigger house and all this stuff. But what they fail to do is they fail to take care of their retirement. I mean, really, it's sad, but most real estate agents have no retirement plan. And so, and I'm not talking about in the stock market or anything like that. I've always been a believer that, if I'm going to invest in somebody's company, it's going to be my own. I'm not going to invest in somebody else's. But what I do want to do is I want to invest in real estate. I mean, at one point I had 42 rental properties, and I got to tell you, that's like a warm blanket at night, man, when you know that I got income coming in on my 42 rental properties, no matter what. That's a good thing. So, yeah. So how did you get started? Are you buying and holding? Are you flipping properties? I know we've got a lot of clients like Ken Krotz, a lot of flipping.
Okay, so currently, no. Actually, Thursday of last week, we sold our very last investment property. I've been buying properties ever since I was 18. I bought my first property when I was 18. I bought and held a bunch. I bought and flipped a bunch. Bought to flip a bunch that inadvertently held. The market crashed. Everybody knows what happened. So there, basically, over the last 4 years, I was liquidating 100% of my inventory. A lot of people think I'm crazy. Potentially, I am crazy. In an effort to redesign and rebuild under a different model. My wife and I have spoken greatly about it. I know that there's right ways and wrong ways to invest in real estate. I may not have the right way. I may not have had the right way, but we are real estate investors. Currently, we're looking for stuff under the right model. There was a time, I don't know how many properties I had. It was probably somewhere around 40, and great money. It can be great money if you buy right, if you buy with the right loan, if you buy with the right amount of cash or, equity, if you will. So we're getting back into it. We're restructuring some things. It's, this 2015, 2016 has been kind of a restructuring of everything in my life, business related, and we're just taking a different approach to a lot of things. So, that hence the buyout of my last partner and the sell off of my management company, because there's a bigger vision and I'm going for, and we're baby stepping right back into it, and I'm really having fun. I had a different idea that I wanted to do real estate, a different way I wanted to do it, and part of building the recession-proof business meant I had to restructure a lot. And so we've spent the last almost 4 years getting back to ground zero so that we can build what I think is going to be a really, really powerful business.
Well, it's interesting you talk about that because one of the things that I know you've been working really hard on is eliminating distractions and getting rid of all these other things out there that are taking you away from what you need to do on a daily basis. So let's get to that for a moment. What are you doing on a daily basis to grow your business?
Well, the most important thing is, I guess the most important thing is to be clear on what it is you want and what your goals are. Second to that is to declare it. Make sure that the people around you and in your life know what you're up to. There's something that happens when you make a declaration and you announce what it is you're up to. Then other people somehow start to hold you accountable for it, and they live inside of your reality, if that makes any sense. So first, setting a goal that, I don't know, it's probably pretty important if your spouse is aligned with you. My spouse is aligned with me. And your family as well. And then once you set that goal, you have to create a schedule around it, and you need to work backward from what it is, where you want to be in X amount of time. You need to know exactly where you want to be, what you want to have, what you want to accomplish, or whatever is a part of your goal, and then work backward to the day to today that says, here's what you must do to accomplish it. And of course, you factor in contingency plan in case you don't do it. And the truth is, if you don't follow your plan, you won't get to your goal. So the most important thing, once you've made a declaration and people in your life know what you're up to, is you have to work your plan. You have to put it in your calendar. You have to work your plan, whatever that means. I'm not 100% good at working my daily schedule because stuff does get in the middle of it because I'm up to a lot. But I guess I've really found in my life that your friends are very important. And it's very important to have people that support you and respect you at the same time. My daughter came home from K-State last night, or she was home over the weekend, but I was out of town. So I got to visit with her last night. And we were laying in bed, and she was talking about her boyfriend and how he's got friends in his life that are a distraction to what he wants to accomplish. And these guys are 22 years old. And it was really cool and refreshing to hear that someone at 22 has kind of figured out what it took me years and years and years to figure out, is you don't need bad, toxic blood in your life. If you have those things, you really need to get rid of them, because you've kind of got one shot at this life, and it's how many people can you touch, and how many people can you be an effective part of their life. And I've had lots of friends in my life that, I don't have any more just because they weren't aligned with my goals. And ultimately, I think your friendships are probably one of the very most important things in you accomplishing your goal.
Well, you know what they say. I mean, you're going to be the product of the 5 people you spend the most time with, whether it's financially or socially or intellectually or emotionally. I mean, you are going to become the product of the people that you hang out with and spend the most time with. And so I agree 100% with you. I mean, give you an example. I was we in the Club Wealth Facebook group, we had a discussion going on the other day that frankly, we had some agents that were in this discussion that, were getting kind of negative. And so I just shut it down. I say, hey, we're just not going to do that. We're not going to do the whole negative game. We're going to be focused on being positive. We're going to take this in a positive direction. And, I don't have time for negativity in my life. I know you don't either. And so it's good to hear that you've obviously done a great job of parenting, because you've got your daughter hanging out with people that also think bigger and think in a positive way. So kudos to you as a parent. That's awesome. And when I say kudos to you, I really mean it's probably more kudos to your wife. But
kudos to my wife. Yeah, no, totally.
I'm totally giving you a hard time. Okay, so what I just heard you say, though, let me just recap what you just said about goals, because I think it's very important. You said you got to be clear on your goals. We've got to declare our goals. So we've got to make a public declaration of, hey, this is what I'm going to accomplish. And come heck or high water, I'm making this happen. Then you've got to create a plan to accomplish those goals and commit that plan to your perfect daily schedule. And for those of you that don't know what the perfect daily schedule is, it's not one schedule that works perfectly for everybody. It's what's perfect for you. And what that means is you've got to literally take the time to go out and time segment your day and put it into your electronic calendar, whether it's Google or your Outlook or iCal or whatever it is you use. You want to literally set recurring appointments in your calendar so that you know what you're doing every single day. And once you've done that, then it's as simple, Tim, and correct me if I'm wrong, as literally working, as you put it, working your plan or following those things that you've set up in your perfect daily schedule so that they force you to succeed. Am I on the right track?
That's it.
Awesome.
It sounds simple. It's an acquired taste, I guess you would say. It's something that you have to live a little while before you get used to it. And then, but it's like, you want to be successful in whatever area or whatever you determine is success. You have to set a goal and you have to work it. And that's all there is to it.
Well, it's funny you mention that, because, so often, I mean, we get people all the time that just say, oh, well, I'm successful and I don't have a perfect daily schedule. I can't possibly live by one. I just take it as it comes. And I can appreciate that. But, when the big difference between, or one of the big differences, I believe, between people in this industry, agents in this industry that do well and even very well, and the people that just have ridiculous incomes and a ridiculously fantastic lifestyle at the same time, are the ones that have mastered those habits. They every day they have a schedule of things they do, and they follow it and they stick to it, and they're very disciplined, and they don't allow outside distractions to pull them away from it. It sounds to me like you're getting, and I kind of got that you're not quite perfect at it yet, but it sounds like you're getting better and better at that.
Well, the thing, yeah, there are, and I know some of those people. I know people that can just, walk outside and success falls in their lap. Here's the thing: if you have to measure, success should be measurable, and by that I mean, if you just walk outside and stuff falls in your lap, and you kind of are successful in chaos, that's great, good for you, but you can't really measure it. And the only way you can measure it is by setting a goal, working your goal, and then measuring that against the results to know where you're effectively spending your time. And I mean, I don't know if that makes sense, but you can. I mean, I've done it for several years. I didn't have a clear structure. I didn't have a clear goal, and I was successful. There's successful and more successful, I think. And I don't mean success by money necessarily. There's a number of ways you can define success, but I think you have to set a goal and work it.
Well, and you're right about that. Success doesn't mean the same thing for everybody. For some people, success is, I want to make $1 million a year. And I appreciate that. And let me tell you that, if you want to make $1 million a year working 12 days a month, it's possible. I've done it. You can do that. You can net that kind of money working just 12 days a month, but that's not what everybody's set their mind to, right? Some people, their goals are more modest. Some people say, look, I just want to make $150,000 a year, and I want to have a good life and have balance in my life in the process. And so what would you say to those folks, Tim, the folks that maybe they don't want to light the sky on fire, but they want to make a good living and they want to have balance in their life?
Well, so I think that as long as you love what you do, you will be successful. I mean, I don't know. I just know so many people that complain about their job, or real estate agents that complain about what they're doing as a real estate agent. And I think that's part of goal setting and declaring what it is you want for yourself in your life is what makes you happy. Because makes you happy.
Don't get me wrong. I totally get that. I totally get that, you got to enjoy what you do. You got to love what you do. If you don't, go do something else. I'm there with you. I totally agree. But let's face it. There's agents out there that love selling real estate and they're broke. I mean, they can't rub two nickels together. So what do you have to say to those agents that just can't seem to figure it out financially, but they love what they do?
Well, I guess what I would say is, get a mentor or get a coach. And I say that seriously because I've had health coaches, I've had life coaches, and I recently, have hired, since last year, I hired a real estate coach, Michael Hellickson, Club Wealth. And successful or not, I know successful people that have coaches, and I know people that are successful before they hire a coach. I know people that are not successful and then they hire a coach. A coach is someone that's great to keep you accountable and to help you see things that are in your blind spots. For example, things that you may be doing that you're not aware that you're doing, whereas someone from the outside could. So if you love selling real estate and you're selling real estate and you love the day ins and day outs of your life and your job, but you're not making money, call someone that can help you get there, because it's perfectly possible. You don't have to be charming, good looking. Anybody can make money in real estate. It's true.
Hey, you just hit the nail on the head, man. You definitely don't have to be good looking to make money in real estate. I've been told 1,000,000 times I got a great face for radio, and look how much money I've made. So, that's terrible.
And to touch on that a little bit more, one of the things I heard Mike Bjorkman say one time is a real estate agent needs to invest 2 hours a day on education. Yeah. It could be webinars. It could be, reading social media or looking through blogs. It can be listening to your coach. It can be going to training seminars. But here's what I know. The people that invest in themselves are the people that are successful. If you invest in yourself, you can't lose.
It's funny because people, I agree 100% with you. It's funny how not just agents, but people in general, they think, well, I'm just going to go throw money in the stock market. I'm going to invest in other people's companies, and that's going to help me make a bunch of money. But the reality is I saw some kind of a statistic that said that like 70% of all day traders eventually lose 100% of their principal that they invest in the stock market. It was crazy. And I'm just thinking to myself, I'm thinking, man, why aren't you investing in, like you just said, in you? Why aren't you investing in your own education, in your own business, grow your business, learn how to run it properly so that you can be profitable?
And okay, so you love your job, you're selling real estate, you don't have money to hire a coach. Let's have a conversation, because there's money available. And let's say you have flat no money. Information's free. It's all over the internet. I have buddies that do webinars, TV shows, podcasts, and they're free. So, there's all that stuff is available. There's really no excuse for not being educated in what it is you love to do.
I agree. I mean, just for those of you that are watching this, just literally go to, and this isn't a big pitch for the Club Wealth website, but at the end of the day, if you're broke, go to the Club Wealth website. We've got all kinds of videos on our blog, all kinds of information that you can get for free that will help you, and it's good information. We're not putting anything out that doesn't work. That's one of the challenges. And Tim, I agree with you that there's a ton of information out there. The hard part is sifting through it and deciding what the good information is versus what the bad information is. Wouldn't you agree?
I would agree, but at the same time, do something. Instead of not be successful and not sell houses and not know how to pick up buyers or sellers, do something, because even doing something wrong is putting yourself out there a little bit. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can hire a coach, and we know, the people that I'm in a couple of different networking groups, as well as I'm a client of Club Wealth. These guys have tested and tried the systems. Mm-hmm. I don't anymore just go out and buy something or a system or a lead source that hasn't been recommended by somebody else. Whereas I used to, because I needed to try them. I needed somebody that could tell me what was beneficial and what worked in the Midwest or not. But, we have a good enough support staff at Club Wealth that someone's bound to have tried it, and someone knows if it works or not. It's a matter of just making the commitment and going for it.
Well, and so let's talk about this, because there's so much people can do. One of the things, and for you, I know in the beginning it started off, it was REO, right? Where you picked one thing and you said, I'm going to get really good at this one thing.
Well, no, that wasn't the beginning. That was only 4 or 5 years ago. So, I got when I jumped in the real estate market, I was just cold calling like crazy. Cold calling off a lead capture system until I started. I remember the first client, DJ Kephart, was the very first person I worked with. And I worked with her for 3.5 months looking at $50,000 houses. And by the time the commission check came, we had some goofy deal and I had to buy mini blinds, and it was like $300. So I ended up making like $600 for 3 months worth of work on this thing. But I dove in there. You know what I mean? And this was me by myself. I didn't have anyone showing me what to do or tell me what to do. So I worked with buyers real heavily, and then as I was working with buyers, a few investors would come through, and then my focus shifted to investors, because that was pretty easy. I mean, you've got 5 people looking for the same thing, and then all you got to do is find the thing, and then you sell it to them. And then the California investors came out, and then as that market turned, short sales got really heavy. Mm-hmm. So I was doing short sales, like I said, and then I was one of my buddies up here in north of the river. He's like the short sale master. So he would come to my office and train our agents on how to do stuff. Well, I started doing it and training other agents in a couple other states how to do short sales. So we were doing that like crazy. And then toward probably 2011 is when I got my very first REO property. And ever since then, I've just been building those relationships while doing, REO has been probably a good 80% of my business, maybe 85% of my business for the last 4 or 5 years. And I'm still growing that. And it's very easy to get complacent, which I think is probably the biggest threat to real estate agents is just getting complacent. And,
I agree.
It's like money, once you get to the point where you're doing 100 transactions a year, money's good, life's good. Why take it any further? Because you can do it better, more efficient, and still provide really good customer service. So yeah, I worked with buyers, I worked with investors, and I did the short sale, and then I started working with sellers real heavily about the same time I got into REO. So I've kind of touched every facet of it, in my career.
But you did. It's not like you tried to just throw everything at it at once. You picked one thing, you got good at it, then you shifted and you got good at the next thing, and then you got good at the next thing. And before you know it, you've got a really well-rounded skill set that allows you to have good consistency through all markets, and it helps you make your business more recession-proof. Now, there's you were talking about. I just lost my train of thought. I wanted to ask you a question because you were talking about how Oh man, I just lost it. It's killing me, man. I'm sorry, folks.
Investors or short sales or staying in front of the ball?
Yeah, I think really the big point was just that, you're consistently out there, you're figuring out what works, and you're testing small, you're growing it, and you're getting very, very focused on one thing rather than trying to do everything all at once. Because that's what a lot of agents try and do. They try and go out there and they try this for a month and it doesn't work, so they go try the next thing for a month and that doesn't work, so they go try the next thing for a month and that doesn't work. But you gave these things enough time and effort and energy to make them work and make them a part of your business. True or false?
Oh, true, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can't, again, it goes back to measurable results, right? You can't try something for a day, for a week, possibly even for a month to know if it's going to work or not. I mean, gosh, a real estate transaction, you get a client today, you're getting paid in 45 days. At the soonest, maybe. So you can't just try something and throw your hands up if it doesn't work. You have to stay consistent. You have to be steadfast inside of your commitment and what it is you're wanting to do. And if you don't know, talk to somebody that has worked with people. Talk to Michael. Talk to a coach, somebody that has seen this 100 times. You want to be a professional, hire a professional to help you get there. Yeah, that's what I say.
I agree. And I mean, obviously, I agree. I believe in coaching. I've been coached my whole life. And, it's funny because I can tell you that in most of the top producing agents, and when I say top producing, I'm talking about agents that are doing, 300, 400, 500 transactions a year and more. They all have a coach. They all spend, I would say, in excess of at least $50,000 a year between coaching and events they go to. And it's not just our stuff. They go to a lot of people's stuff, and they're learning from everybody. But they're coming to the masterminds. They're participating. They're sharing their knowledge. You mentioned complacency, and this is the one other thing I wanted to touch on before we wrap up. Actually, there's two. There's this, and we're going to talk about family. But complacency is huge, and I think that it's one of the biggest threats that real estate agents face today. Because, like you said, you can get comfortable. You start making enough money to where life is good. It's fairly easy. But here's what happens: as soon as you let off the gas, everybody around you, they've got their foot on the gas, and they're moving forward. So whether you're moving forward or not, they are. And if you're getting complacent, what's going to happen is all of a sudden you're going to wake up one day and you're going to say, "Hey, wait a minute. I'm behind, and I'm not, and it's going to be a lot of work for me to even come close to catching up. My income's going to start coming down. I'm going to have a hard time making the living that I'm used to making." I had a coaching client in Florida, in Boca Raton, that was a luxury agent down there, and that, for 6 months I coached this. I could not get her to understand that, look, you have to do these basic things, because if you don't do these basic things, you're going to be out of business. And I watched her market share trickle down and down and down and down, and literally her production went from, fairly successful. I mean, she wasn't doing a lot of number of transactions, but the transactions were a big purchase price. And so her commissions were huge on a very small number of transactions. And when you don't do the things on a daily basis that you need to do to drive your business forward, guess what happens? Those few transactions, it doesn't take very many of those big transactions to go away. And all of a sudden you're feeling it in a big way in your income. And because I could not get her to do the basics every day, she literally, today she's struggling today. And I can't help her. You can only help people that want to be helped, right?
Yeah.
So any thoughts on that, Tim? Any thoughts on the whole consistency or the complacency piece?
Like you said, man, so complacency and poor customer service are the two biggest threats to real estate right now. You guys, it's easy to get complacent. If you're just starting out in real estate, you're kind of like, I don't see how in the world I could ever get complacent. You can, because you start doing volumes, your name gets out there, people are hiring you. You might get to the point where you're overworked, customer service lacks, and it's very easy to get a bad rap very quickly. And like you're talking about the girl in Boca Raton, I don't know what she was doing or not doing or whatever, but you can be super successful, and then all of a sudden everything can be taken away from you because you're not the only one out there. And trust me, there are people, agents, that work harder, work smarter. They're way better at social media. There's always somebody better at social media or networking, than you. Not you, but than us. So there's someone that will take your spot. without a doubt. And you have to be on your toes, and you have to be sharp, and you have to offer cutting edge technology. And if you don't, that's where a coach or a great real estate company can help you with that. So yeah, as far as that, complacency and poor customer service, yeah, when you start doing transactions and you have the life you want, take an extra long vacation and everything goes to hell, you know?
That's right. You're right about that. All right. So now the flip side of that, let's talk about real quick, and then we got to wrap up. We got 1 minute left, and I just want to get this from you because I know it's a big deal to you. I know you care a lot about this. Talk to us about balance. How are you, as everybody knows, our kind of our core belief system in Club Wealth is that no success in the world can compensate for failure in the home. So what I want to know from you is, how are you maintaining that balance?
Well, I think, so the first thing to touch on is expectation. So it's really important that, I guess, so depending on who's watching and listening, depending on your family, if you're married or if you have kids or whatever, when I say expectations, for me, it's my circle, it's my wife, and it's my kids. And you have to set an expectation. Now, can you start a business and hustle and work your butt off and still have family time? Yeah. Is it harder? I mean, do some people have to work 12, 16 hours a day? Absolutely. What I'd say is set the expectation so that everyone in your family knows what the expectation is. And it may be an hour a night. It may be breakfast in the morning and then daddy's got to go to work for 16 hours. I don't know what it is. You have to set the expectation so that everyone in your family is on board with what you're doing. And that's the first thing. So you have to set aside time. My dates with my wife go in my calendar. And my calendar is take my daughter to school, and it's pick her up or take her to soccer practice. Like, if it's not in your calendar, it's not a real event. My mom, it's funny, my mom sometimes, like a couple of years ago, she would get irritated because she called and she'd want to, schedule a time to get together with me. I'm like, okay, I'll put it in my calendar. And she was like, I can't believe you have to put me in your calendar. I'm like, Mom, it's got to go in the calendar, because if it's not in the calendar, one, it won't happen, and then, I'll forget. So that goes back to the perfect daily schedule. Schedule your life and schedule your family time. Turn your phone off from 7 to 9 or 5 to 6, whatever it is, schedule it. And make sure that your family or the loved ones in your life are enrolled in what it is you're doing, and you actually can have a family meeting, because just because you think that turning your phone off from 7 to 9 at night is sufficient, they may not. So you have to set something that's agreeable, and then you just have to do it. That's all there is to it.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. You absolutely have to do it. And another thing that I'll say about you, Tim, is you're very good about taking a minimum of 1 day off per week. And that is a very big deal. I see your posts all the time on Facebook about taking Gracie to school and about spending time with her after school. You're picking her up. You're taking her to soccer. You went to Europe with her. I mean, you've got all this cool stuff going on. You're spending a lot of time with your family. And I agree with you. It's because you're putting it in your schedule, and you're putting it in your schedule before anybody else can book over it. And so now you treat it like an appointment, which is exactly how it needs to be treated. So good for you, man. I'm super proud of you, and super glad to hear that you're managing that well. So that being said, we're out of time. Tim, anything else that you would like to add that you think would bring value to the people watching today?
I mean, I think we cover a lot of bases. I just, what I'm committed to as a business owner and the agents that work in my office is I'm really committed that people love and enjoy their life. Mm-hmm. And I think that's your primary goal is to just love what you do and love the people that you do those things with. So for me, I built a business around the life that I love. And I haven't worked a weekend in, I don't know how, I mean, I'll go to seminars on the weekend, if you want to call that work, but I don't work weekends. I just don't, unless one of my best friends wants to go look at a house and he wants me to show it to him. So I think, it's important to sit back, figure out what you want to do with your life, what you want your life to look like, and that is the context of your life and your job and your real estate. Everything else goes inside of that. So just, it's just a map, man. It's just a map to success. Fill it out.
That's huge. I can't believe, and as soon as you said that, I could feel people passing out on as they're watching this. They're like, what? He takes weekends off? He's in real estate, makes a great living, and he takes weekends completely off? What the heck? That's a complete mind blow for most people. But you and I both know that you're doing it, and that it is possible. And I do the same thing. I take my weekends off as well. Mike Bjorkman, who we've been talking about a little bit on our call today, he takes his weekends off as well. And I'll tell you, most of the highly successful agents that I know do the exact same thing. So congratulations to you. Fantastic. Tim, it's been a pleasure. I really appreciate you taking the time to join us today. And all of you for watching, thank you so much. And I hope that you'll take that one thing. Don't try and take everything out of today. Just take that one thing that you learned on today's video and implement it in your business and or your life. Make sure you create habits around it so that it becomes habitual, it becomes a part of your systems and processes, and it will make a huge difference for you long term. And hey, we just appreciate you spending the time with us today. So Tim Ray, thank you again very, very much for being here, everybody. My name is Michael Hellickson with Club Wealth. Hope you've enjoyed this. Have a fantastic day, and remember, you are world class.
Thanks, Michael. See you, buddy.
Thanks, Tim.